So we're trying our best is the album. Give me some of the basics. When and where was it recorded? Under what circumstances?
Okay.
All right. So 2019 we recorded it. We did all our basic tracking at the Hurley studio in Costa Mesa, California. And then we did all our additional recording at Psychedelic Thrift Store Studios with Joel Jerome. He engineers and mixes most of our projects. So that was in Eagle. Does he live in Eagle Rock?
Yeah, Eagle Rock.
Eagle Rock, California.
So it's all pre-pandemic stuff, huh?
Yeah,
it was.
Back in the good old days, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was one of the last things that was recorded in Hurley Studios. There was a time when Hurley was, I think, kind of owned or co-owned by Nike.
Yeah, they were owned by Nike. So they had a really nice recording studio there that kind of was a hidden gem. Not a lot of people knew about it. But then, you just hear random stuff like, oh, Green Day was in the studio the other day, or it's just like, how does anybody even know about it? But our guitarist and bassist both worked there at one point. So they were very kind to let us use the studio.
And it's a great community of people there. Made a lot of friends and just met a lot of great people through Hurley.
Now, I was a bit confused. Who was producing the record? Was it you, Joy, or was it somebody named? Was it Joel, or did the two of you?
So Joel engineers our projects, and I produce them.
I gotcha. Okay, and so how do you take up when you producing can be anything these days? You can just sit there and read a newspaper, or you can just like be twirling every knob in existence. So how do you approach the job?
Well, we do a lot of the honing in of things at home.
Right.
We demo stuff pretty extensively and work through what our parts are going to be.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
He's been so good all day. So we demo everything extensively at home, and Brian and I work a lot of that out together. I think for me, like, a producer credit means mostly that, like, I have final say over what I think, is working and what I don't think is working, but I also have a lot of trust for my bandmates. So I feel like I'm not apt to be in there, like, trying to hone in on, like, specific sounds and things like that. That's more like Brian's area of what he's good at, and I just kind of have a basic idea. Like, I'll send tracks of, like, I like the reverb on this vocal, and I like this guitar sound or whatever. But like I said, I have a lot of trust for my bandmates, so I do have final say, but I don't feel like I'm really.
You're not dictating things.
I'm not a dictator about
it. And so, Brian, what kind of sounds do you listen to the songs and it makes you think of something, or how do you approach getting the sound that you're looking for?
Yeah, usually there will be something in the song that will suggest some ideas or some parts that I can add. I don't always start with the drums. Drums is the instrument that I grew up playing, and I don't have to think about as much.
Sure.
So sometimes that'll come first. Other times there might be like a bass line or maybe just a guitar part or something like that. It's always really, really exciting to get some of these songs from Joy, because sometimes she'll just send them to me when I'm at work, and then I can kind of like just take a little break and use my imagination and try to hear what like the song could be, or where, like, what could work in it, which is always a surprise, because it could be, a lot of times we say that, like, Joy grew up playing classical violin, and melody is like, that's like her gift and her expertise.
Right.
And like, I just grew up like thrashing around in the garage with my friends. So where the two of those things kind of collide or come together is, I think, what inspires a lot of the sounds.
Right.
So I bring a lot of thrashing around in the garage and stuff.
That's always a good thing.
He makes everything louder and faster.
Good on you.
Yeah.
And so what about you, Joy? What is your musical kind of pedigree? What are you, besides the classicals, you know, that you were just talking about?
That's a big one, just because I think when you're playing an instrument that's usually playing one note, it's very melodic. I think that sort of drives my sensibilities as far as writing melody and song, but I love to add harmony. And I think I just kind of I get bored of playing certain instruments. So I think my songwriting just kind of morphs with what I'm interested in at the time, kind of.
Right.
And
right.
It's kind of a fun challenge to try to, take different and new elements and still fit it into the style that we've created together.
Right. And what about lyrically? Where do you draw mostly from?
I draw a lot from personal experience. I definitely write about things I struggle with.
Right.
I write about dealing with chronic illness and dealing with mental health things, and just it's sort of a way to process the things that are happening in my life. But I also really enjoy writing about just stories that I've heard or characters from books or movies that I've read and seen. I definitely have learned more over the years how to draw from other people's stories, because I think if you only write about yourself, it can get kind of boring sometimes.
Right. Unless you're changing magically from record to record yourself.
Yeah. I might have some interesting stories, but I don't know if I have like 4 or 5 albums worth of things that are that fascinating about me.
But having said that, the album opens with a song called 5 Star Diary, which seems very personal. So
yes. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about that one, where it came from, where you were mentally when you wrote that?
I have a genetic disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And so I've dealt with chronic pain for many, many years. And it's gotten, it's a connective tissue disease. And basically the tissues that are supposed to hold my bones and organs and things in place are too loose. So I will, my joints will pop out of the socket, and it just causes all kinds of crazy symptoms. And I started to get sicker around probably about 4 years ago. And I still hadn't gotten a real diagnosis at that point.
Right.
I was just finding that I was having to build my entire life around being sick. And as unfair as that felt to me, I felt like it was really unfair to Brian.
Right.
Because I was always like, you didn't sign up for this.
Nobody does, though.
And I would just say things like, this isn't what you signed up for. Like, if you want to leave me and, find somebody who's more able-bodied than I am.
Dude,
like
in sickness and in health.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he was always just like, no. But I think I had read an article that was talking about the fact that men tend to leave women who get sick, who have chronic illness. And so that just was in my head.
That? I mean, come on.
Even though I know and I trust Brian, and I don't really believe that he would do that to me, but I think it was just kind of like I was really in a headspace of only being able to really see the things that I was losing, and feeling like I was losing myself to being sick. And I think 5 Star Diary is just about how Brian always was like, no, you're more than that. You are so many things outside of being sick, and being sick doesn't take those things away from who you are as a person, and doesn't take away your value as a person. So that was kind of a little bit my homage to him and just the way that he's cared for me.
Right. Because your previous album came out in 2017, Loud Songs for Quiet People. So did this kind of happen after the making of that record?
Yeah, I mean, I was dealing with chronic pain. I started having issues with my spine when I was about 15.
Right.
But I think it was more, it would kind of ebb and flow, which is pretty common for EDS, where you'll have a period where you're really in a flare and then you have times where it's not quite so bad. Right. But I did have a moment, it was after the last Loud Songs for Quiet People came out, that I threw my back out really bad. And I couldn't sit up or stand for more than a few seconds at a time without excruciating pain. And I think I was in bed for 2 or 3 months, really, just trying to get through it. And I would say after that was kind of a catalyst that sort of exacerbated the illness, which I think does happen for people with EDS. Plus, I just think, as you get older, obviously you're going to have more issues anyway, but that was definitely the catalyst for me. And it's just kind of never been the same since. Definitely, better than it was, but I always have pain now. Whereas I used to have periods of time where I could function relatively normally.
Right. Has it affected your live performances?
Sometimes, I think mostly in a good way. It makes me feel more determined to just sort of defy my own body and get through it and do it. But I think I've developed a real sense of gratitude about still being able to do it, that I didn't have before, because performing has always been hard for me in the sense that I get very nervous. I have a lot of anxiety surrounding it, but I found, especially since we came out of lockdown, that I have a joy about playing that I didn't have before, just because I feel so grateful after being forced to spend time away from it, not just with my health, but just with the circumstances of the world. I feel really grateful that we're able to do that in this time. And I'm just trying to be more present with it and enjoy it while I can do it,
Yeah, definitely. Well, one track I wanted to touch on was Million Yard Stare. It's kind of a good one. And it made me think of another Kiwi band, but it's not a Flying Nun band. It's a band called the Beths. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
I've heard of the Beths.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they live here in Auckland as well. And
Same
kind of vibe to them guys. Maybe you can give me a little background on that one.
Oh Lord, there I was caught in a million yards staring at the morning buzz. Oh Lord, there I was caught in a million yards staring at the morning
buzz. Million Yard Stare is actually, it's a song that I wrote. It's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of experiences that I had camping.
Okay.
I just really love camping, and I love being in nature. And it was just sort of, it's honestly like kind of vignettes from camping trips I've taken. And just sort of like the general mood that evokes for me, just sort of, I think I just feel peaceful in nature. But yeah, it's just,
except when you're getting stung by
yes,
on the tongue.
That really happened. I was camping and I had like a cozy on my drink, and I couldn't see inside the bottle, and I took a sip and I felt something in my mouth, and I was like, well, that's not right. And I spit out a bee, and it had stung me right in the center of the tongue.
That's gotta be awful.
It was terrifying, because my dad and sister are both extremely allergic to bees, and I'd never been stung before. So I was in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
hoping, I mean, if you get stung on the tongue, you're kind of
Yeah, that's pretty vulnerable place.
yeah. So luckily it was painful, but my tongue didn't swell up. I just had some ice. And my friend, got the stinger out of my tongue. And it was just funny. But then I looked in the bottle and there were like 4 more bees in there. I was just like, thank God I only drank one, At least I didn't swallow it.
Oh man, that's crazy. Haven't anybody told me a story like that recently? So that's the stinging or the swallowing of the bees. Now, another song I wanted to touch on was Other Humans, because it kind of gives you a feeling of you being an outsider and kind of invisible and not kind of part of the mainstream, I guess, for want of a better word. Is that kind of what you had in mind, what you're feeling?
For me, I definitely have always sort of had a feeling that I'm on the outside looking in to life somehow, that life is happening around me, but I'm not exactly a part of it, which I think maybe stems from just anxiety or imposter syndrome or just, I always used to say, like, I feel like it's only like, I'm only like one wrong thing away from people finding out that like I'm not a real person or I'm a fraud, I don't feel that way so much anymore, but I think it's just sort of the struggle of trying to hang on to yourself and also trying to be relatable as a human being.
Gotcha.
Essentially, yeah.
So I see one song is a co-write, the last song called Young in Love.
Yes.
What I can only surmise what might have inspired you guys to write it together.
Yeah, just years and years of heartbreak and I mean, seriously though, I think the older that I get, the more I become of a mind that the more things change, really, the more they stay the same. And so in a way, I think part of what inspired at least my part of that song was just the idea that it doesn't really matter like how old you are. The feeling of like kind of falling for someone or the feeling of falling in love is pretty much the same as it was when you're 14 or 24, or 34.
Yep.
So it was kind of the realization of that, maybe in part because I'm a substitute teacher. So I teach anything from kindergarten to 8th grade. And I don't see a whole lot of kids that are really, falling for each other or whatever, but every once in a while I kind of hear whispers here and there. And it's really, it's the same as it's really anyone of any age.
Yeah, that one was a fun one too, because I generally am pretty secretive about my songwriting,
right?
Not because I think it's so amazing, but because I just feel self-conscious writing songs around other people, because I just think the process is messy. You try things that don't work, and you want people to hear the best version of it. So even when I'm writing at home, a lot of times I'll just wait till Brian's gone, or if he comes home and I'm in the middle of writing a song, he'll just be like, I'll just go up on the roof for a little while and you tell me when you're finished. And this one was an idea that Brian brought to me, that he was like, I started writing, I have some ideas for this. I have like some melodic ideas, but I need you to help me flesh it out. And that was really, I think really the first song we ever co-wrote together.
Yeah.
So we've done a few more since then. It's getting more comfortable for me. Yeah, it's enjoyable. And I think it's another cool avenue to be able to tap into musically.
And I'm just a drummer learning from a great songwriter.
Well, there
So
you
I'm
go.
getting a little bit, by osmosis, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable actually writing some stuff.
Cool. Excellent.
He's good.
Very good. Well, it sounds like it's all happening out there in Santa Cruz, is it? Yes.
Long Beach.
Long Beach. I was close. It's on the West Coast somewhere.
That's
North
right.
of us, yeah.
So what's next for you guys? Are you doing any shows? Are you thinking of the next record? What's happening?
Yes
Both.
and yes.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, we just hired a booking agent, so he's booking all of our shows in America.
Right.
Which is cool. It's really nice to have somebody to help with that.
Yeah.
So our goal is to do some traveling in the next year. But also we basically have the next album all demoed. So we will be starting recording for that, and maybe also an EP that we've had in the works for a while.
Excellent.
So
And there's a little record label in Japan that's releasing 5 Star Diary as like
45.
a 7-inch,
Oh, great.
which would be cool. And
I love 45s. I've got several.
Yeah.
now. I've a lot.
but I mean, it is a dream of ours to.
There's a bunch of them right here. Everywhere.
Love it.
But
It's ABBA. Does your mother know?
But it is definitely a dream of ours to come out to New Zealand at some point.
Yeah, come on down.
We got
Yeah,
some family
I'd
out
love
there,
to.
so
It'd be great. Yep. Well, hopefully the doors will all open and everybody can
Yes.
travel freely again soon. It'd be nice.
yeah, can start swimming, and I think we'll make it there.
It's a long swim.
I know it's a big swim. It's only the world's
And
largest ocean.
You'll have more things to worry about than bees.
Yeah. These will be the least of your worries.
Exactly. All righty. Well, thank you for spending time talking to me. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us on.
All righty. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.